Hey everybody, what's going on? We're going to go over lesson 8, time signatures. Just like anything else, if you put a document in front of me and what are you going to tell me to do? Sign it, right? Not my best signature, but the point is everything has a signature. So it's just a way to understand how music moves and how the flow of the time goes in music. And it's also grouped in certain patterns. So at the beginning of every piece of music, there is a time signature. It is made up of two numbers placed one above the other, like this: 2 over 4, or 3 over 4, or 4 over 4. In this case, there would be two primary beats in each measure. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It feels like that's the way it flows. In this particular case, there will be three primary beats in each measure. So you would feel it like with an accent on the first beat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in this one, you'd have four beats in each measure. And it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's variations on this. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But for simple purposes, we'll just put an accent on that first beat: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? But this isn't even real. This is, and when you talk about groupings of beats and how they flow, that's more of a meter. It's called meter. It's how you combine beats to make the music flow. All right? It's meter. And it's part of an element of music called rhythm. And then when you put it under the microscope, you discover that meter, has its own time signature. So the musicians playing the music or writing the music know how to relate to the beat while they're writing it, and that helps. Those rules help to kind of solidify how to make it available to other people to play and to study. So that's where we're kind of heading with all that. Okay, so the upper number of the two tells us the number of beats in each measure, and in lots of ways, that's the most important thing. So you see, there's no lower number here. In this case, this means there are two beats in each measure. If you go down a little bit, you see the 3, but there's no lower number. This means there are 3 beats in each measure. And then when you go to the 4, there's no lower number. This means there are 4 beats in each measure. So let's discuss the lower number. The lower number tells us the kind of note, or the kind of a note. That's kind of weird right there. The kind of note. Skip the that gets one beat, or which receives one beat, right? So in this case, there's no upper number. So if the 4 is the lowest number, this means that a quarter note gets one beat. So the 4 corresponds to a quarter note. If there was an 8 under there, not my best work writing an 8, but you get the point. If there was an 8 under there, it would be an eighth note. If there was a 2 under there as the bottom note, it would be a half note. And then finally, this is like one of the first times you're seeing this, but if there was a 16 under there as the lowest number, it would be a 16th note, which it would be. So these guys are like, these notes, half note, quarter note, eighth notes, are units of measure with which you use to count or keep your place in certain musical instances. And you're using them, which is called a time signature, as part of a time signature. And when you're beginners, the 4 is always usually at the bottom, because that's the basic of how it works a lot of the time. For example, this one over here, 4/4, like we talked about last week, is oftentimes referred to as common time, because when you listen to music nowadays, most of the music you hear, the beats are grouped in groups of 4. And that's, I would say, 98% of the music out there right now you're listening to uses 4/4 time. Okay? All right, so let's go to the student assignment now. Question number 1. How many beats are there in each measure of 4/4? So it's asking how many beats. And in this case, if it's asking how many beats, we're looking for the top number. So there you go. Write that on the line. Again, question number 2. How many beats are there in each measure of 2/4, or called 2/4? Question 3. How many beats are there in each measure of 3/4, also just known as 3/4? Now the questions shift to asking, what note receives one beat? What note receives one beat? See it right here? And for that, we need the lower number. What note receives one beat? What did the 4 correspond to? The 4 corresponded to this, which is a shaded oval with a stem. What was that called? Look at the top. You'll see the answer up there. Again, the 4 as the bottom number corresponds to this note, a shaded oval with a stem. Write it on the line. And of course, the last one, the 4 corresponds to the same thing, shaded oval with a stem, and write it on the line. If you need a clue, somewhere at the top here, it discusses the lower number. And in that case, the 4 was the lowest number. So there you go. That's the best clue I can give. All right, now we're going to go on to the next example, the next lesson. But before we do, let's memorize this. The top number, let's let it catch up really quick. The top number always tells the number of beats in a measure. The bottom number always tells the kind of note that gets one beat. So it helps you to flow. So if there was 4 quarter notes in a row, that's 4 quarter notes in a row, and you had 4/4, and you know that distance between 2 bar lines is a measure from last week. So one measure of 4/4 time. This would get the first beat, this would get the second beat, this would get the third beat, this would get the fourth beat. Then the bar line would reset it back to 1, and you would go on from there, whatever happens next. Okay? All right, lesson 9. Note values. I like the word value, because it's just another way of asking how much something is worth. So when we talk about value, we're saying how much are my sneakers worth? Okay, you don't have to answer the question, but the point is that's talking about value. And it answers the question, how much is something worth in music? So note values, how much is a note worth in music? And how you determine the worth is in time. How much time does it get? Or how many beats does it get? Time and beats. All right? How many beats does it get? How much of the time of the music in which we're living does it get? So every note in music receives a certain number of beats. The lower number in the time signature determines the value of each note. Remember in lesson 8, if the lower number was 4, then we were counting using quarter notes. And when we counted using quarter notes, we were doing 1, 2, 3, 4. And each measure will contain 4 beats total. All right, so there's 2 bar lines. The distance between 2 bar lines is a measure, right? When the lower number of the time signature is 4, the quarter note receives 1 beat. The half note receives 2 beats, and the whole note receives 4 beats. That's a nice reminder of what a quarter note looks like. Here we go. What's a quarter note look like? A shaded oval with a stem. What's a half note look like? An unshaded oval with a stem. And a whole note is just an unshaded oval. There is no stem. So a whole note gets 4. A half note receives 2. Unshaded oval with a stem. And a quarter note, a shaded oval with a stem, receives 1. 1 beat. We're talking about beats right there, right? So the beats can be written under the notes like this. Quarter note gets 1. This quarter note is the second quarter note, it gets beat 2. This quarter note's the third quarter note, it gets beat 3. This quarter note's the fourth quarter note, it gets beat 4. Or if you had a half note, this half note would start on 1 and last through 2. This half note would start on 3 and last through 4. Or if you had a whole note, this whole note would start on 1 and you would last through all the beats as you count. You'd hold your hands together, just like we did last week and in previous lessons. So it would sound like this. Listen, here comes the quarter notes. So we're right here for now. And it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice the clap is lining up with the count, right? Then in this instance here, we're going to clap on 1, but we're going to hold our hands together and say 2. Then we're going to clap on 3. Then we're going to hold our hands together and say 4. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one is a whole note. We're going to clap on 1, and we're going to last for all 4 beats. So in a lot of classes, I like to circle when we clap, because it gives you an extra layer of clues as to when do you actually clap. Now this one, we only clap on 1, so it sounds like this. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So going straight across the page. So here it goes. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 was the quarter notes. Here comes the half notes. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally the whole note. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did that one twice so you could just feel, the count go by and how you're supposed to relate to it. All right, the numbers connected by a dash apply to the same note and should be counted in a continuous sound. So that's what I kind of did. So in other words, clap and hold, clap and hold. Clap, hold, hold, hold. Clap, 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 clap. Clap, hold, clap, hold. Clap, hold, hold, hold. All right, here we go. So now we're going to go into the student assignment. This gets a little tricky, but look down at the bottom each time for a quick little guide. When the lower number of the time signature is 4, the note values are quarter note equals 1 beat, half note equals 2 beats, and a whole note equals 4 beats. So there are your rules for how to complete this. And the first line gives you a nice layout. This is a whole note. Hit on 1. Make sure the number 1 is directly below it. 1-2-3-4 shows you the duration. If we were going to clap that, we would only clap on 1, and we would hold all the way through that measure. Then we get to a half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would clap on 1 and hold, and then we would clap on 3 and then hold. Now we have another whole note. It's in a different spot, but the rhythm rule is still the same. You hit it on 1, you hold all the way through the other counts, and then we have 2 half notes again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So knowing how to label it and knowing how to perform it is good. All right, let's see here. Practice counting the following exercise aloud while tapping each beat with your foot evenly and steadily. Don't forget about the dash between numbers. Let's try playing this line. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how it works. So here we go for the next one. Number 2, write the beats under each note in the following exercise. Okay, this is two half notes. Find up here the instance where two half notes occur, and you just got to copy the beats underneath. So here we go. This is a, what kind of note? Oh, let's look down here. Oh, it's a whole note. It gets 4 beats, and the bar line resets the count back to 1. So I put my 1 there, and then I follow this pattern we had earlier. The bar line resets the count back to 1. I now have this guy here, whole note, right? And I don't mind writing the answers in here because you got to see that the number should go directly underneath left justified, right? Bar line resets the count back to 0. What kind of notes are these two? Well, this was a quarter note. This was a half note. This was a whole note. Gotta remember what they look like. Okay, so it's half notes, 2 beats each. Looks like this. Count remains the same. There you go. When do you clap? Oh, hit and hold through 2. Hit on 3. Hold through 4. Hit on 1. Hold through all the beats. Hit on 1. Hold through all the beats. Hit on 1. Hold through 2. Hit on 3. Hold through 4. Now you got to draw the missing bar lines in the following exercise and write the beats. Well, remember, it's all about counting up to 4. So how many beats does a whole note get? It gets 4. So you could put the numbers on. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And every time you write the number 4, then you have to write a bar line to reset the count back to 1. And then we go to here. Oh, okay, it's a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gets 4 beats. Write a bar line to reset your count back to 1. Oh, I have 2 half notes right next to each other. Okay, counts reset to 1, 1, 2. But I still need 3 and 4. After I write the number 4, put the bar line. And then I have 2 half notes again. Okay, the counts reset back to 1, 1, 2, and then 3, 4. When do I clap? Here I clap on 1, and then let it ride. Bar line, clap on 1 again, let it ride. Bar line, clap on 1, hold through 2, clap on 3, hold through 4. Bar line, clap on 1, hold through 2, clap on 3, hold through 4. So I'm not 100% sure right now if the audio of this video is going to successfully allow me to clap and count, but we can try it. Ready? Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And line 3. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how the music moves. Notice we weren't talking about note names there, although they were changing. Each example had different note names. How we tapped or clapped and counted is how those notes move. The sound that they make is determined upon what their name is, where that is on the keyboard, or whatever instrument you're using to play the music. Okay? All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.